Hello, it's Chris from My Stamp Lady, and I'm here with the Home to Roost set. This is one of the fabulous Sale-A-Bration sets for 2019 from Stampin Up. And I'm going to show you about the rooster. Now, I love this rooster. And I think the reason I love the rooster is he's so much fun to color with my blends. So this is going to be coloring with the blends and coloring the rooster. Is my primary goal in this video. So I hope you enjoy that. I also used a couple of products that have carried over from our holiday catalog, which you may not realize have carried over. And that is, one of them is this tin tile embossing folder. It's the dynamic folder, so that is still available. And if you go to my online store, you can find it there. All the supplies are listed below in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, and all you have to do is click on the image and it'll bring you to my online store. The other thing that's still available is this braided linen trim. I love this braided trim. I used it a lot this fall. If you go to my blog, mystamplady.com, you can find all many samples where I've used it. You can also find all the paper sizes that I used today. I'm also using the stitched shape framelits, so I'm going to use this to cut out that shape. I'm setting some of these things aside as we get started here. If you look in the description below, you can find all of the supplies I used and also the link to my blog post for this particular card where I have more information for you. Let's pull in my Stamparatus. I love the Stamparatus. This is a stamp positioning tool. I do have underneath my scrap paper here, I do have a piece of cardstock or a chipboard, and that helps just to give it a little bit of an even pressure. And I'm kind of moving it because it had gotten moved on me. This is where I'm going to stamp the Sahara Sand cardstock. This is one of our background stamps. So let's ink up that stamp, and it is a cling stamp and it sticks so wonderfully to the Stamparatus. So just ink that up. And with the Stamparatus, I can just flip over the cover. I've kind of got this positioned so that it's not right in the corner because I want, now I moved it, because I want to be able to get it kind of centered on here. So Sahara Sand ink, stamping this with the Stamparatus, and I have done, pick that up, onto Sahara Sand cardstock. And that's my background. I will be stamping a sentiment, but I need to add some more things for some placement. Okay, so next, let's take that Whisper White cardstock. I am using the Memento Black ink because this is the ink that works the best with the Stampin Blends. It is a nice black. It is in our collection to work with the Stampin Blends, which are alcohol markers. I have found, though, that you do want to let that ink dry. You want it to dry well before you will start to color over that. If you don't, you will probably get some bleeding. So what I'm going to do is put that down. This is my magnetic platform for my Big Shot, my cardstock, my die. Let's place that right in the center. And because I have the magnetic platform, it is holding that die in place. And then we need one acrylic plate for above. And we're going to put that down, and I'm going to run this through my Big Shot. Okay, so that's gone through my Big Shot. I'm going to pull that out of the way here. And you can use any die cutting machine that will take these thin dies. It works just fine with any die cutting, but I do love my Big Shot. Okay, let's set that aside. While this is drying, I'm going to give it just a second to dry. I am going to run this Tranquil Tide cardstock through the Big Shot with this tin tile folder. So I'm just placing that in there because this is one, oh, it slipped a little. You know, I'm going to grab my platform first. So I have my Big Shot platform, the die, and the folder, and this is a dynamic folder, meaning it's really thick. It gives you a nice deep impression. You do only need one acrylic plate though. So we've got the Big Shot platform, not the magnetic one. This is the Big Shot platform without the thin die adapter, one acrylic plate, and that's all you need to run this through the Big Shot. And then look at that gorgeous, gorgeous embossing. That is just beautiful. Okay, so let's see. Give that a little bit of time to dry. So hopefully we won't get quite as much bleeding or any bleeding at all. Okay, so I'm going to take, first of all, this is, let's see, Dark Real Red. I am actually using quite a few of the blends. This is a blends coloring video. You could also use some watercolor. You don't have to use the blends, but I do have to say coloring this rooster with the blends is a lot of fun. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my light and dark Bermuda Bay. I'm going to start with the light. The light and dark will work together. You can buy them separately or together through my online store. And I also do send out catalogs. I have a catalog request on my blog. So mystamplady.com, and there you should be able to find a link in the menu bar to request a catalog. And when you request a catalog, I will send you a hard copy. I know I enjoy hard copies much more than the online PDFs. So now I've just taken a little bit of the dark blends, and now I'm going to go back, kind of blend in where they meet right here with that. So I've used the Bermuda Bay to do the rooster's tail. Add a little bit more in there. Okay, so now, oh, you know what? I just realized I missed right here. That's his tail. Okay, a little bit of color variation there, but not a lot. So then what did I do? Next I took the light Night of Navy, and I used just a little bit of the light Night of Navy along the edge here. To find my colors, I did pull up on Google. This is, by the way, Dark Call Me Clover. I did pull up pictures of roosters, and I kind of picked some colors. I never realized how many fabulous colors there are for roosters. Amazing. But I just found on Google some pictures of roosters, and that's where I got my color. I'm gonna pull in that dark Bermuda Bay, and we're gonna go back over, kind of add a little darkness to this guy, and now we'll go back to the Night of Navy. This is how I use the blends. I add a little color, add a little more, and one thing you'll notice when you use the blends is they bleed through. That's normal. That should be happening. And you just keep kind of going until you have what you want. Okay, I'm going to just finish this up really quick here. Oh, this is the bullet side. I like using the brush side when I'm blending these colors like this. Add a little bit more of the color, Call Me Clover. Go down in there. There we go. You know, I'm thinking I might want a little more navy, but I'm going to move on and then I'll come back and see. So now I have the light and dark, or the combo of the Daffodil Delight, and this is the light Cajun Craze. And I'm going to first of all start out with my Cajun Craze and go through. Now I am spending a lot of time here sharing my coloring, but that's the purpose of this video. And then this is the dark Daffodil Delight. So let's get a little bit of Daffodil Delight in there. So now you can see, right now, you can see how it's not blending the best right there. So this is what you do. You go back. I'm going to grab a little bit more of the light Cajun Craze. Add some more of that in there. And you'll start to see this blending together. And as it dries, you kind of, it dries and it kind of goes together, and you're going to be surprised at your look when you're done. Light of the Daffodil Delight, blend in some of that. It's actually making that, some of that Cajun Craze a bit lighter when I do that. I don't know if it's moving it. So if you need a little more of the Cajun Craze at the end, but I don't want to go as far. I just want to go over the edges here. I want to add in some of that depth. Oh, I'm almost done here. There we go. I thought I would need a little more Night of Navy, so I'm pulling this back in, adding a little bit more navy to this. So my last color is the light soft suede, and I'm just going to use that for the ground here, and I'm not going to do any blending, just coloring. Okay, so there is my rooster. I'm going to pull back in my sample because this one has fully dried. And you can kind of see how that looks in there. For my card base, I have a half a sheet of early espresso, 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2 inches. And we will be putting this down, but you know, just in case I mess up, not that I ever do that. No, yes, I do plenty. But I'm going to put this down, and I'm pulling in that sentiment, and with the early espresso, I'm going to stamp the Enjoy the Simple Moments. And I like to do this before I glue it all down, just in case I mess up. Then I can just switch it out a little easier without having to pull it all apart. Okay, so there is Enjoy the Simple Moments. Now I'm going to use my adhesive. This is the snail. And the snail adhesive, you really need to give it a good rub or burnish. So we're going to put that down on the front. I'm centering that, so I'll have a little bit of a frame around there. I like to tip it over, turn it over, and give that a nice good rub. And then let's put down some adhesive on the back of my Tranquil Tide. I keep wanting to call it Tidal Wave. I don't know why, but it's the Tranquil Tide. And we'll put that right there. Okay. I have that braided trim, so we're going to wrap it around twice and tie a knot. Okay, so let's see where how do I have that for placement? I want to move that a little bit over. So you just kind of give it a little bend, pull it a little bit, and now I have it's probably spaced a bit more like I would like it. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to place a couple of dimensionals on the back side. This will pop it up over that braided trim, so it won't look like it's bent down and over it. And it'll also give it a little bit of dimension. So we're going to just place that down in about the center. And I'm going to trim up my ends there. I'm going to take, one of my favorite things to do with the braided trim is after I've tied it, like I did in this knot here, I just take a piercing tool and fray those edges. It gives it a little bigger presence. Kind of spreads those apart and go in and just kind of pull that. And I can always trim this if I've left them too long. I can trim it after I've spread it apart here. Okay, there we go. But I think that's pretty good. I've taken some of the copper sequins. Let's see, I have a small, a large, and 2 mediums. I'm going to use the Take Your Pick tool to pick those up and to bring those over. I am using the fine tip glue. I'm going to put down just little spots of glue where I'm going to want those, where I want the sequins. And then I'm picking them up with the putty end of the Take Your Pick tool. I love this little tool. I use it a lot. You can get a piercing end for the other end, but I usually keep it on the spatula. I use the spatula end the most. The piercing end comes with it. What I mean is that you can pull it out and swap it and flip it over, but I use the spatula the most often, so I just keep that right on that spatula. There is my card front for this lovely rooster that's colored with the Stampin Blends. Now, the dark surface is kind of hard to write on, so one thing I've done is I've taken a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and this image, the grasses are included in the set, and I'm just going to take a Sahara sand, stamp that down and up, plain and simple, but yet it brings a little bit of the design, the idea to the inside of the card. Put that down with some snail adhesive. So I would love to hear in the comments below what your favorite Sale-A-Bration set has been. Which one have you used the most? If you don't know what Sale-A-Bration is all about, I have a link below in the description to show you where you can go on my blog to find out some more information. And that is a fun blends card to send off to somebody. Have any questions? Don't hesitate to contact me, Chris, at mystamplady.com. And all the supplies are in my online store at shopwithmystamplady.com. Thanks so much for watching.